Hello and welcome to yet another flip session of the NIOS Biology Module 5, The Living World. Today, we are going to chapter number 21, which is the longest chapter, and a lot of concepts are covered in this chapter, which is basically the building block of life, cells and tissues. So, the immediate question comes to our mind is, what is a cell? Something that we understand, and hopefully I'll be able to use your reference books and explain to you where and what do we learn about. Well, cells are the building blocks of living things. There is a concept called the cell theory, which was given by two German biologists, Schindler and Schwann, way back in 1838 and 39, where the concept is cell is the structural and functional unit of all living beings, and every new cell arises from a pre-existing cell. So we are looking at the entire concept of this cell theory. Cell is the smallest independent unit of a living thing, and we have this whole idea that cells have the DNA which contains the nucleus. Who gave us this idea? The first scientist to discover cell was Robert Hooke, and what he did is way back again 200 years before even the cell theory was formulated. He was observing a cork, cork that you put the bottles with, under a microscope, and where he noticed small rooms. The word cell comes from, like rooms where monks live, and that is how Robert started calling them cells per se. Well, this is again a 1 mark or 2 mark question that do appear in the idea that we learn also how to solve a problem. So quick check. Do you realize the smallest living building blocks are the cell? The first scientist to discover this was Robert Hooke, and you're learning it as he did under a microscope observing the cork cell. So scientists continue to observe and study the cell, research it further, and these are the conclusions they said. Why do I repeat the cell theory? Is a part of your questions that are coming in your 5 marks and 6 mark question is, please explain the cell theory to us. When a question which is long enough, you tell them that all living things, so a tree, a monkey, a flamingo, you, every single thing is made up of cell. Cell is the smallest unit of life. We remember we spoke about amino acids, which is the building block of life, which is where the cells come in. Cells make more cells, and now we come to a very, very interesting concept. You realize the cells could have two different kind of, the cell body, a typical cell. One is prokaryotic, which has no nucleus in it, and eukaryotic cell with a nucleus in it. So when I teach you objects and concepts, these are the two words you will have to remember: prokaryotic cell and eukaryotic cell. And as you learn, as you start talking about it, we are doing chapter by chapter analysis of what each cell is. Now, let's talk about cell bodies, that the cells are even made up of smaller cell and the part of like the organs of your body. So if you look at a cell now, the cell will have parts, and these parts are called organelles. Let's say you are a human body and you have different organs: liver, lung, kidney, correct? Brains. Some people may not have it. Well, heart. So now cell as such have parts which are called organelles. And what we're going to do is we look at a very, very basic cell structure. Trust me, if you understand, if you look at this particular cell structure, you will know what cell we are talking about. So if I were to click on this and make it large enough for you, yes, this is the best diagram of a cell I found, and I make sure enough colors are there so you remember what a cell looks like. Right? So we are looking at now a plant cell. Just remember a plant cell here. And what are the key things you need to remember in a cell? So you see the cell has a outer layer, and that's called cell membrane. The moment you look at a cell membrane, you say, okay, I got cell membrane here. What else? So you see there's a lot of fluid in the cell, a lot of fluid here. That is what we call the cytoplasm. So you remember the two key thing of a cell: draw the big cell, the cell membrane comes in, and there is cytoplasm. And each of them have a function, and we'll talk about the function of each. Cell membrane is a delicate membrane outside. So think of your body. Remember, cell is a smaller representation of body. So your skin is the organ of your body. The organelle of a cell is a cell membrane, thin and delicate, forms the outer coating, and it's selectively permeable. So it allows certain things to come in, certain nutrients to come in, and then it stops certain things from coming in. So it also maintains the shape of the cell and it protects the cell from injury. Good enough. So what would this liquid inside the cell be called then? Well, cytoplasm is similar to blood. And I'm giving you an example. Well, what does cytoplasm do? Is a translucent, homogeneous semi-fluid filling the space in the cell membrane, and cell organelles are present inside. So you will talk about nucleus and the Golgi bodies and the ribosomes. All of them are inside the cytoplasm. Then let's come to the most important part, which is the nucleus. I mean, this is the heart of the cell, perhaps, isn't it? The entire small nucleus, right, is at the center of cytoplasm, bounded by a nuclear membrane. So this membrane is called nuclear membrane. It's very easy. So this has its own membrane. Let me just circle it for you. And what is it? It is a network of chromosomes, right? That is called chromatin. And inside the nucleus, one or more rounded nuclei or nucleus. So this is the nucleus inside the nucleus. It coordinates the activities of the entire cell, contains the genetic material, the DNA, and we'll talk about the DNA, deoxyribonucleic acid. We'll talk about this in much later, but you realize you just learned 4 very important parts of a cell. You learn cell membrane, you learn about cytoplasm, you learn about nucleus, and you learn about nucleus. Where are we going now? What else can we look into it? What are the cell membranes and what are the other parts I'm looking into? So here we are. Let me look at eukaryotic cell is what you're doing. One is the nucleus, not the prokaryotic cell that you're talking about, right? And if you're looking at this, we are looking at a cell here where we talk about something that we call ER. What is ER? Endoplasmic reticulum. Look at this endoplasmic reticulum. So what are endoplasmic reticulum? Perhaps you can think of them as, like it looks like intestine. We are looking at these smooth endoplasmic reticulum and rough endoplasmic reticulum. What are the purposes they serve? It gives rigidity to the cell, makes it strong. Think of it like ropes. So your ropes are making a helps in synthesis of protein and fats, transporting them. So it is irregular network of cytoplasm inside the cytoplasm, and inside it you will have something very, very important called the ribosomes. So, think of this in 3 parts now. So ER, rough and smooth ER, endoplasmic reticulum, transportation for fats and protein. And inside this, can you see these purple, we made it purple dots? It's right here, the purple dots. So it is ribosomes, a body function. I'm just giving a random body function. Think of liver, right? So these are like small granules scattered on the ER, endoplasmic reticulum, and it is important for your protein synthesis. So we are looking at a protein synthesis that is very, very important to understand. Good enough? Now, what else do we know about the cell that we are talking about? The plant cell out here, and there is something called the mitochondria. Mitochondria are like the lungs. Mitochondria is right here. Can you see a couple of mitochondria out here? Mitochondria are in human body at equal lungs. Why? Because they carry cellular respiration. Cellular respiration, and they also call the powerhouse of the cell because energy gets released and stored in them during respiration. So a question could come, what are the powerhouse of the cell? And the answer is M, mitochondria. It's also, how do you describe them? Sausage-shaped or rod-like granular bodies scattered in the cytoplasm. Remember, cytoplasm is something like this, the translucent fluid, and mitochondria are out there. You are doing fantastic in terms of understanding the cell. It's one diagram. Take a snapshot in your mind. Remember it. Any question in around cell, 4 marks to 6 marks, just draw it and I'm sure you will get a lot of marks. So we did the entire nucleus, including nuclear membrane. We did the entire ribosome and ER. We did the 3 cell cytoplasm and cell membrane. And now we came to mitochondria and ribosomes, of course, done. Then a very interesting part of the cell is the Golgi bodies. Very similar to the same ER that we're talking about. Or Golgi, it helps in secretion and storage of substances like enzymes and hormones. So Golgi bodies are again flat sacs, small vestigials inside. Plant cell are called dictosomes, right? But remember Golgi bodies just like that. for secretion of enzymes and hormones is what you get. There's another this is the last thing I want to teach you here in this, and if you see, is lysosome. Lysosome is something like the kidney of a body. Why? Because are small sacs containing the digestive enzyme, so which destroys and digests the worn out cell. Right? That's what kidney does, isn't it? So it helps rapidly to destroy and digest damaged cell. It is also sometimes called the suicide bags. Right? So these are the suicide bags or lysosome. So hopefully you remember the cell part. You remember this entire cell organelle and you understand what a cell is called. Now, there is something that is only found in the animal cell, which is what we are showing you right now, a combination now, is called centrosome. It's not there in the plant cells. Remember this. Centrosome is only found in animal cell. What is centrosome? It helps in cell division, right? So more like reproduction of the cell. Consists of two small granules called centriole. So this is only in animal cell. What are the things that are only found in plant cell now? If you had to ask this question, look at the cell wall. The cell wall is only in the plant cell. Of course, cellulose made of cellulose, and you've got plasticids. Plasticids are only in plant cell. What are plasticids? Well, chloroplast, chromoplast, leucoplast, green in color, helps in photosynthesis. You know about chlorophyll now. We've studied it right from class 2. So remember that. So chloroplast are green, chromoplast are orange, red, yellow, or any color, and leucoplast are colorless. So here is the only diagram. I insist you learn the most important diagram, and hopefully you've learned this, and we can close this and move ahead. So basically, we learned a lot about cell. We talked about the cell theory, and here are the different type of cell. Animal and plant cell, I did tell you the differences. So what is only lot of common things are there. Cell membrane, cytoplasm, nucleus are in both the cells. But what is only found in animal cell is chloroplast cell wall. So there's a second wall out there, and permanent vacuole. And only found in animal cell is centrosome. So, this is how a larger diagram would look like, the difference between the two. You can look at the picture, but remember the diagram very much similarly remains very similar. One diagram, if you learn, you know the other one. You only learn about the chloroplast, a little different. Other than that, everything else is similar. And I can ask you quick questions. What are the suicide bags? You say, oh, that's lysosome. And it's found in both the things. All right. What's the only thing found in plant cell, not in animal cell? It's called the chloroplast, and you got the 3 part of chloroplast. There's also cell membrane, only found in cell membrane in plant cell. This is how you learn the cell shapes and difference between animal and plant cell. I think you did a wonderful learning of the cell's first part. Quick answers, a recap. Building blocks are to structure, dash are to living things, cells. So good luck. Wonderful work with the cells. We will do 3 parts of this chapter and hope this was the foundation of entire cell theory. I hope you did well, you enjoyed it, and you can carry on and do much more of it. All the best. Good luck.